Yes, I enjoy succulents because of their ability to be placed in anything and have that artsy look. So I call that living art. In this particular container, you have lit hops, that's LITHOPS. The container is more like a deep plate with legs that are stubby and short and wide. It actually combines with the lit hops, you know, tying in design elements. And by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as we go along. And of course, questions are welcome at the end too. Succulents can grow in many types of containers and vessels. And what I mean by vessels, for example, in the middle is a sphagnum moss form where I've inserted as a base a lot of jade. And I'll explain that later on as to why I favor jade for living reefs. My community work inspired my love for succulents. This is an area, a main street in the neighborhood in which I live. Going to work and coming back was a little bit disturbing because this is what my scenery was, and I simply did not like it. I worked with another person I worked with at a law firm, and also the schools in the area to revitalize this area. And it worked out beautifully, and there is a remarkable difference. And that started 14 years ago. And since that time, we have extended the area all along this planting strip, which is 1,800 feet. And that is the difference. As I mentioned, it is pretty remarkable. These pictures were taken in the summertime or late springtime. So there are crepe myrtles that bloom every year during that time period, and many other drought-tolerant plants that we have in the area. There are about 40 trees along this strip. So one of the styles that I use is staging. Falls under potting arrangements. The other style is pairing. There is a difference between the two. So these succulents are ideal to stage alone in a container. You know, the star of the show, you know, in a sense, the person, the sole entertainer in a sense. So the container that you choose should have at least one design element that elevates the plant. So, so in doing that, you look at color, texture, etc. A container's primary purpose in staging is to enhance the plant, just as you would with a portrait or a drawing or a picture. You pick a frame that is going to elevate that portrait or drawing picture with some type of design element that is common between the two. So, you know, again, such as color. Also, you want to consider the surroundings as part of the composition. As part of the composition, harmony is key. So in putting all these elements together, you create harmony. Pairing, how is it different from staging? Pairing is partnering the plant and the container as companions that are equally intriguing, absent though of competition. Staging, as I mentioned earlier, the container's only purpose is to enhance or elevate the plant. And so as you can see, definitely the middle photograph I would consider as pairing. Also the one on the far right, I would consider that as pairing rather than staging. It's also an arrangement with multiple plants rather than just one plant to one pot. The one on the far left, I'm kind of not sure on this one. My thought is that it's more staging, but the pot is not just as interesting as the plant. So I think I'll go for staging on this one. Some principles of design can be broken. In this particular case, this rather large vase, or not quite a vase, but I guess pottery. It has a wide bottom, and then of course it V-shapes a little out. It's topped with a cacti. And I think a common name for that is brain cactus. It's also topped with top dressing. I use top dressing in all my arrangements. Also, the containers I get from thrift stores, any kind of container. You can convert any type of container into a planter. And you do that by putting a drain hole in the bottom. There is a way to do that with a drill and a circular saw bit. Very easy to do, but however, it does take some practice. You don't want the pot flying across the room, of course. So in this particular case, proportion and balance are violated. Some of you are familiar with floral design, and there's proportion that is always considered. The results that still in this particular container are still attractive because there's a visual sense that draws the eye and gives you a pleasing response. Or at least it does for me. It may be different for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. The features of the plant and pot complement each other. It repeats more than one element, design element, color, contrast, form, and texture between the plant and the pot. It should be fluid to create good rhythm and therefore harmony. So in this regard, even though we violated proportion, it still is a appealing, plant and combo with this container, and therefore I think of it as living art and an art piece that is long living versus a floral arrangement. Now, another form of staging is bonsai. We all are familiar with bonsai plants, usually trees in miniature form, but that is a time consuming, I believe, I've never tried it, but form of bonsai. So I try to make things easier for me all the time. And so because I like that look, that bonsai look, I tried it with jade and Port Eularcaria some years ago. And the results, I think, are great. It does require you to do, you go find it. You cannot go find it at a nursery because you're not going to find it find this type of I would say elements in a sense in a pot that's a container or a plant that's in a pot at a nursery. So the best way to locate these pieces is are in your own yard, your friend's yard, a relative's yard. It's a go find thing where you go to the shrub, as an example. If it's a jade shrub, you just simply go into that and look for a section that is full, has a nice trunk, and then take it out, let it sit for a couple of days, maybe even longer, until you find a container that stages well with it. Portulacaria is another one. You have to look for it in someone's yard, your own yard. Try to find something that already has a similar shape that's appealing as a bonsai. That way you have a good base. In this particular case, I found this Portulacaria in a large area where it was just growing crazy. And this particular branch or piece, I said, my goodness, this would look good as a bonsai. And so I took it home and put it in this pot. And this particular Portulacaria has been in the same pot outdoors at my entryway of my home for at least 7 years. It doesn't quite look like this now, but the branches branch out very nicely and flow very nicely. There's drapes here and there. There's, just as in this photograph, some of the stems stand up. Again, the maintenance that's required is maybe once every 6 to 12 months to take it out, cut the roots back, and then put it back in. Same thing for the other jade to your left. I've had this one for about maybe, I don't know, 3-4 years. I take it out, cut back the roots, and stick it back in the container, refreshing the top dressing. I also do some pruning to keep the shape of the bonsai. And then the one in the top right-hand corner, I did not find it as a full jade, but I thought it had an interesting shape. And so I went with that and still have it. Jade does surprisingly very well in the house. So it would be a good house plant, as long as you have good air circulation and good lighting. And these are some tips on pruning a bonsai. Just as an example, you have a number 12, the branch that's ID'd as number 12. The branches are beyond the profile of this bonsai. Now, this is not a jade or a Portulacaria, so you have to look at it a little bit differently. If this was a jade and you see that a particular branch is beyond the profile of your bonsai, what you could easily end up doing is cutting off the leaves, because the leaves on a bonsai are at the very end of the branches. I once broke one of the branches to my jade bonsai, and it took some months for it to start growing back, but it eventually grew back to be full, and therefore no loss. So those are the kind of things that I would classify it as under maintenance. And then, as you can see here, the other numbers, all the numbers are areas where you could prune or take out certain branches, like cross branches. branches at the bottom here because you want the effect of that section as a trunk. And if you want additional information such as websites or where I purchase certain things, I can provide that information later on, probably via email, and it can be sent to each of you. Now, this is an arrangement of two or more groupings, not groupings, but more than one plant. There's also a grouping here. The advantage of a multi-plant arrangement is that it looks floral. However, it does not last as long. Floral arrangements, in this case, with good maintenance and care, this type of arrangement, multi-plant arrangements, can last a very long time, years in fact. Maintenance would require, of course, going in, pruning, taking things out, putting things back in, after so many months, say maybe 6 months, you may have to go in and rearrange things a little bit, or put the or to get that look that you want, that kind of designer look, well-groomed, crisp look. The container, let me move my, see if I can move this. The container at the far bottom right side, that actually is a tabletop fountain I found at a thrift store. And so it already has a hole in it. So some containers that are not meant to be planters can be used as planters, as in this case. And this certainly is what I would consider a pairing rather than staging. Any questions so far, anyone? Okay. Let me move this out of the way. Hold on for a second. There you go. And then, of course, I mentioned composition. Composition not only considers the design elements between the plants and the container, it considers the surrounding. It also takes into consideration what the plant is sitting on. I use a lot of flagstone to sit my potted plants or living art, simply because it ties in so well with the containers in the way of color, very rustic in many cases, a lot of browns, the texture and so forth. For some reason, it just ties in very well, with elements. You can easily get them at any stone, where they sell a lot of stone, boulders, mulch, and so forth. What I do too for those plants are indoors. I put cushions on what I want as the backside with flagstone. You can consider any side, whatever side is the most attractive to you to have it sit on. And then, of course, stands are great. This particular one in the middle is a pot that had a top with it. I just flipped the top over and used that to sit the arrangement on. The stand is another plus. I actually went to the Long Beach flea market. I think it's every second Sunday of the month. Haven't been there in a long time, but I found this piece and decided I would definitely not sell it. It's a great piece. And then, of course, on the far left side, you have a raised arrangement, and the container is hypertufa. You can also make these containers out of Portland cement. You can dye it different colors as well. It's very easy to do. And I mentioned earlier, plant vessels other than pots or containers, such as the sphagnum moss. This particular moss wreath, is about 12 inches. So it's a fairly large one, perfect for a door, especially perfect for a gate. Even if you have a poor looking gate, the nice thing about it, you put a succulent wreath on that gate and it becomes shabby chic. It's wonderful. And then you have, of course, succulent top pumpkins. With succulent top pumpkins, they will last months. This one I made in October 2022. It did not start to decompose until June 2023. The key is to always have the pumpkin raised so that it gets good air circulation. That will allow the plant to not get moist and start to rot and then, of course, decompose. As far as the top is concerned, the top of succulents, again, that's a maintenance. As long as you provide good maintenance, it can continue to look beautiful. And then in the far bottom right, you have living pictures, and I make many of them. And then at the far left bottom, you have a wine bottle. It's still a container, but it's somewhat whimsical, and therefore, for that reason, I considered it kind of an other. So these are the wreaths that I've done in the past. As I mentioned earlier, my preference for jade cuttings to insert in my wreaths. This again, they're sphagnum moss wreaths, very compacted, very dense, thick. And so the plants do well in this particular vessel. You have holiday themes, non-seasonal, a beach theme, a heart form one as well. Valentine's Day is coming up, so could be ideal for that as a gift. And then the one in at the bottom middle, it gives you a good idea of how that sphagnum moss looks without plants. Of course, you have to have it moist or damp to start inserting the plants. There is that long forceps that's there that helps you to insert the plants, and then, of course, the chopstick. The one on the far top corner right side, as you can see, it's flat on a table. I use nothing but jade, the plainest jade ever. But yet it looks beautiful. I accented it with my own species of a butterfly or moth. And then in the middle is a crassula plant, commonly known as baby necklace. And I did the same thing with the holiday wreath or Christmas wreath as well. The shells and so forth on the beach one. I hooked kind of like a floral pin to it to stick it in there with, and I was able to fasten that with Gorilla Glue. And then, of course, living pictures. This requires you to do some sewing, nailing, and but the instructions are easy. I actually invested in a electrical saw in order to make these. So you can find plenty of frames to start this project from any thrift store. You simply just take the frame apart, of course you remove the glass, and you insert shade cloth as the top part that goes right under the frame. You attach the frame to the box that you make. You put a device on the back of it. That's the hanging device, picture hanging device that you guys are very familiar with. It can stand on a table, as here on the right side top corner. It can also be attached to a wall. But again, these are outdoor plants. So it's important to have these outdoors, unless you fill it with maybe air plants. It's a good idea. You can have it indoors if you do it that way. Hanging baskets. This is something I enjoy. For example, you have one that is attached to the fence, and that makes a nice accent. And the other one is hanging straight from a pole that I have in my backyard. And so that one, I've used a lot of aeoniums. It does very well. Again, maintenance is a key in regards to anything. We are in our rainy season. These plants, all of these plants love water, from rainwater rather. Even your plants that you have indoors, when it's raining like this, make sure that those plants get some of that lovely rainwater. It instantly revitalizes the plants. And then succulent top pumpkins. Again, these are succulent top pumpkins that I have done. The key for longevity is to have these succulent top pumpkins raised for good air circulation, so that the plant will not quickly decompose. It will last 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, almost the next fall. And then you have this succulent filled wine bottle. Cheers to each of you, and I hope each of you have a wonderful new year. And now, if you have any questions, I welcome them.